Welcome to Crimepedia. I am your host this week. My name is Morgan. I hope you are having a wonderful day. And with me, as always, is my favorite true crime partner. We sit and we talk true crime 24/7. It's Cherry. Hello, Cherry.
Hello everyone. Hope you've had a lovely week. Thank you for joining us again for another week of true crime and chat and mischief.
How have you been?
Very well. It's been a very busy week. We had the Queen's funeral on Monday here, which you guys probably saw over there. So that sort of, we all had a national day. So everyone had a national day of work, which was great. So yeah, that was quite sad and profound, but now we have a new king, so everything's changing for us here. The national anthem changed straight away, which is really strange to sing your national anthem with something else. You know, I've sung that all my life, that song, and it's bizarre. I don't know if anybody else feels the same way in England, but I don't know, it kind of had a bit more meaning when it was the Queen. Do you know what I mean? I think it's because I've got a lot more respect for the Queen, you know?
Yeah.
And I feel really like when we're singing it at rugby and stuff, I always feel really emotional singing the national anthem because it means a lot. Now, it's strange because it just doesn't seem right. You know, it's weird. It just seems strange.
It is. It's very strange. You know what? And this is the one thing I don't understand. Being an American, of course, we don't have monarchy here. It's just, I feel like the monarch, the king, the queen, they're supposed to be like revered, right?
Yeah.
There's this grandeur around them.
Yeah.
And I know that like going into that position, you don't have it like right away. So it's weird to like all of a sudden you have someone who is so like larger than life.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming she represented like this motherly figure of England, United Kingdom, right?
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden you have Charles, who historically has been less than liked in some circles.
Yeah. And I agree with you. I think it's strange because there's never been any real scandal as such. I'm not going to talk about the whole Australia thing and all the stuff that goes on with the jewelry and this being stolen from there and that kind of thing. Let's not get into that. Yeah. What I'm just general meaning is that the Queen kind of has always been there. And she's always, there's no real scandal about the Queen. She's never really partaken in very much that is, underhand or, that we know of so much. But she's just kind of always been there. And it's a really strange thing for her not to be there now.
Yeah.
It feels really odd. It feels like you've lost a grandparent.
Yeah. And now, but then it's extra weird because now you have someone else.
Yeah, who's taking her place.
Taking that place.
But they're not.
You're so used to giving, like, you're looking at them like, oh, with such
admiration.
Lovingness.
Yeah, exactly. And I personally don't look at Charles like that at all.
Because has he done anything to, like, I don't want to say deserve that?
No, but it's true. I think exactly. I think the Queen has worked, regardless of what you think of the actual monarchy and the hierarchy and everything, that woman has worked for the country every single day of her life since she was like 25 years old. And she has always been around to go into things, opening things, going on state visits and doing it. And yes, okay, she lives in castles and stuff, but she's worked and worked and worked tirelessly for the whole of her life. Not very many people at 96 are still working.
Yeah.
She worked right up until 2 days before she died. The woman never stopped. It's crazy.
That is really crazy.
But then you've got Charles, who I don't think has commanded the same amount of respect that the Queen has. But I think William will have the respect of the British people because I think William and Kate, people love William and Kate. I don't think people love King Charles and Camilla. People don't like Camilla because of the relationship that she had with Diana and the fact that the British people absolutely adored Diana.
Yeah.
And I think
now Camilla's queen.
No. Yeah, she's queen consort. She's not the queen. Consort. She's queen consort.
No. Consort. But she still has that queen.
Well, yeah, it's queen consort. So she'll never actually be queen. I don't think British people will ever see her like that. I think Kate and William, people will think of Kate as Queen Kate or Queen Catherine. I think they will.
Queen Kate.
Yeah. I think they will. I think they'll think of her as, because she makes a fantastic Princess of Wales already. They're a great couple.
I literally saw the dumbest headline about Charles this past week.
Mm.
And it was something along the lines of, why did Charles take the name King Charles? I'm like, okay, I understand he could take any name he wanted to,
Yeah,
but
that is actually his
maybe the
name.
fact that was his name.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That might have something to do with it, you know.
Yeah. Why did Charles take the name King Charles?
Well,
I
a
don't
lot has
know.
got to change. A lot will change for us now, though. Our military sort of regalia, our post boxes, our stamps, our money.
Your money.
Our money will change. A lot will change for us.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping that it'll just abdicate, give it to William, and then William will reign for like years and years and years.
No way would Charles abdicate.
Well,
No
we'll see.
way.
Okay, this is going to be my premonition. I think within the next 3, maximum 5 years, Charles won't be king anymore. That is my prediction. I believe I reckon there'll be a change in the next 5 years. Within the next 5 years. I don't think he'll be king anymore.
Very interesting.
I have a feeling, possibly sickness, but I've got a feeling he'll abdicate
something,
and he'll give it to William.
That would be big if that
Huge.
happened.
I think it will. We'll see. But that's so now you've all heard it. You've heard me say it. That's what I think will happen. We'll see.
We will see. Sure will. All right. Well, with that, how about we hop right into this week's episode?
Let's go.
In June 2014, just days after returning home from a family trip, 24-year-old Amanda DeGuio would go missing. Leaving behind most of her belongings, Amanda left her mother's home in suburban Philadelphia and seemingly disappeared without a trace. For 8 years, very little had been learned about where she may have gone and why. But in 2022, a renewed effort by law enforcement to find the missing woman led to a possible break in the case. This is Crimepedia, and this is the disappearance of Amanda DeGuio. All right, Cherry. So this week's case is a case I think has partially been hampered by stigma.
Oh, okay.
So this is a case of a missing, endangered woman who disappeared in 2014 and had both drug issues and lived I wouldn't say she constantly lived a high risk lifestyle, but she did have some high risks in her life.
Right. Okay.
So Amanda DeGuio was born on March 5th, 1990. Now, according to her mother, she was a girly girl who was an above average student and was very social.
Okay.
In her early years, Amanda did spend a lot of time in hospitals undergoing treatment for asthma, as well as undergoing a surgery for a hernia. Now, these experiences would lead Amanda to want to have a career in children's health care. She would enroll in nursing school shortly after graduating high school in 2008, but would have to put her schooling on hold after she became pregnant with her first child.
How old was she then?
She was
graduating high school, because it's different.
18.
Oh, okay. So she's different ages here.
She was
to
like
graduate
18.
in school. Okay.
Yeah. So she would have been around 18.
Okay.
When she became pregnant with her first child.
Yeah.
Now, during this pregnancy, Amanda would start feeling a pain in her right breast, which had become swollen. After the birth of her first daughter, the pain that she felt would be diagnosed as a flesh-eating disease.
Oh, no. That's not
Not good.
nice. No.
Now, she would undergo 3 surgeries, which resulted in the loss of substantial amount of breast tissue.
Yeah.
Now, in order to deal with the pain, she was prescribed Percocet,
Mm.
which would lead to a drug dependency and addiction.
That does happen quite often with Percocet, doesn't it? I hear that when I listen to American cases, when they talk about the people who have become addicted to pain medication. It's usually Percocet, isn't it? I'm just going to have a
Yeah,
look and see
yeah,
what that is here in England. Um, I don't know
yeah.
what
It's a
that.
huge problem, especially around this time where drugs like Percocet,
Oh,
OxyContin were being just handed
oxycodone.
out.
Yeah. So in England, it's oxycodone. So
Yeah,
I see. God, that's crazy, isn't it?
very, very. Now, Amanda was a single mother, but she did have the support of her family. She would have a second daughter, and the 3 of them lived with Amanda's mother, Joanne. Now, according to Joanne, the family had known about Amanda's issues with prescription pills. It's believed that sometime after the birth of her second daughter, Amanda, she began using heroin.
Oh no.
However, Joanne has stated that the family knew nothing about Amanda's heroin use.
And this is very slippery slope, isn't it? Once you get onto heroin, it
It
just
is,
destroys your body, doesn't it? Absolutely.
it,
It's horrific to watch a
yeah, I
family
mean,
member go through a heroin addiction. It's
it,
it's so
and it
bad.
did. It took a huge toll
Yeah.
on uh, her body. I mean, um, apparently, like she was a very beautiful girl,
Yeah, she
and
was. Yeah, very
even
pretty.
at the by the time of disappearance, still very beautiful, but it like ravaged her teeth. She had really bad dental hygiene.
Yeah.
Her teeth were in really bad shape. You can go on to look at pictures of her, and there's pictures of her which it looks like she has like scarring on her
She
face.
will, won't she? Because they
So
pick their skin, don't they? When like heroin, that's another side effect is that they pick their skin. So it's
yeah,
awful to see how a heroin addiction can ruin somebody. It's absolutely awful. It's very, very sad. Really, really sad.
it is. Yeah. In 2014, Amanda's older sister, Nicole, had reportedly discovered that Amanda had been advertising herself as an escort online.
Oh no.
When confronted, Amanda insisted that it was just a joke, and Nicole did not press the issue.
Oh, God, that's horrible, isn't it?
It
It must
very,
be
very
really, really
horrible.
hard to watch a family member go through that. It's just
Yeah,
awful.
because it's tough because you want to help,
Mm.
but it's tough because in a lot of these cases, it really takes a person hitting rock bottom before they will really seek
Yeah.
that help that they need.
Yeah.
Now, in May 2014, Amanda and her daughters went on a trip to Disney World along with Joanne and Nicole.
Hmm.
During this trip, Amanda seemed to be turning a corner and was serious about recovering from her addiction. And now, according to her family, she was completely sober for this trip to Disney World,
Oh, good.
and they had plans. She had plans to see a doctor and to have a full physical when she returned.
Right.
There were also discussions about Amanda returning to rehab and treating her addiction with Suboxone. So she had previously been in rehab. I believe this would have been her third time in
Okay.
rehab trying to seek help. So she was looking to basically beat this disease
Yeah.
and wanted to get the help.
Yeah.
Now, on June 3rd, 2014, this is just 4 days after returning home from Disney World, Amanda would disappear.
Oh.
That morning before going to work, Joanne would dress Amanda's 2 daughters and peek into Amanda's room, asking for her to do some chores around the house. While she was at work that morning, Joanne would call Amanda, who did not answer. Joanne would arrive home from work at around 5 p.m. that evening and discovered that Amanda was not home. Joanne would attempt to contact Amanda a few times throughout the evening, but her calls went unanswered. While this did not initially cause any alarm, by late that night and having not heard from Amanda, Joanne would start to worry. There were no signs of foul play inside the house. Outside of the chores that Amanda failed to do, there was nothing out of the normal in the house. It did not appear as though Amanda had packed any belongings before leaving, and her credit cards had been left in the house.
Oh, wow.
While some reports have stated that Amanda had left her cell phone at home, she did in fact take her cell phone with her. Amanda did not drive, and it's unknown how she left the house.
So she didn't take her cell phone, or she did, sorry.
No, she did take her cell phone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So there's a lot of reports out there that say that she left her cell phone at home. That's incorrect. She actually did have her cell phone
So
with
the
her
cell phone is
when she
gone.
left.
Okay.
Cell phone is gone.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
She did not drive. She did not have a car. It's unknown how, like I said, it's unknown how she actually left. If she was picked up by someone or if she had walked somewhere. So we're not
Right.
exactly sure how
Okay.
she left. Now, what's strange is despite being concerned about the whereabouts of Amanda, the family would not report her as missing until August 27th, 2014, nearly 3 months since she was last seen.
Wow. And like she just walked out and left her daughters. I mean, is that something that
Y-
she's? It's difficult because obviously
Well,
she's struggling. She is still struggling with addiction. I mean, addiction never goes away 100%. It's always a
yeah,
battle all the time. Um,
it is.
so it's very difficult to know whether she relapsed and went off somewhere. I mean, I would be interested to know how likely it would be that she would leave her children. It's got a lot
Well,
for a mum to do.
her children were with other family that day. I've
Yeah, but I
seen.
mean, just like walk away from your kids and have nothing to do with
Oh
your
yeah,
kids
no, no,
ever
no, no. Oh yeah,
again.
yeah,
That, I mean, that must be,
yeah.
as a parent, that's to think that you're not going to see your kids ever again. You're just going to leave them. There must have been
I don't think that.
something very,
I
very,
don't. Mm-mm.
that's what I mean. You don't just walk away from your
Yeah,
kids, do you? For nothing, for nothing. There's got to be a bloody good reason that you would walk away and leave those kids behind.
I don't think Amanda would have. I don't think
No.
Amanda was the type of person who would just up and leave,
Mm,
purposely up and leave
mm,
her kids behind. She had struggled with addiction,
yeah.
and so she had
But she was
struggles, but
clean. They'd just been on a family holiday.
she had been clean.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Just been on a family holiday. She wanted to get better. She wanted to stay clean,
Yeah.
and she wanted to turn that corner. So it's, I mean, I don't want to say it's strange for her to up and leave because once again, we're talking about addiction.
Yeah. Yeah.
Addiction, you can
It can
you
make
can
you do some
turn
strange things, can't it?
very things. Yeah,
Not normal things for you. So, I mean, it's tough. It's very tough to try and guess what she would or wouldn't have done, not knowing her.
exactly. Now there is some confusion about her disappearance that was caused by an arrest warrant that was issued by Upper Darby Police. Okay. Now, roughly 2 weeks after her disappearance, a warrant for Amanda's arrest was issued for identity theft and receiving stolen property. Now, these were associated with a prescription for Oxycontin that Amanda had picked up that was written for someone else. Okay.
Right.
Now, some reports have stated that the theft in question had occurred on June 18th. Okay. However, according to the family's private investigator, Kevin Ryan, Amanda had picked up the prescription prior to her disappearance. So
Oh.
this is strange because we have on one side they're saying no, it happened beforehand, but I've read things that specifically said that she attempted to pick up a prescription on the 18th.
So she's picking
So
up a prescription, and who's this prescription for?
I don't know who it's for. It's not for her. It's for someone else.
So that's what I'm thinking.
So
Okay, so she has gone somewhere. Surely her family members aren't going to ask her to pick up a prescription, knowing full
no,
well what she's addicted to. So it's like an
mm,
alcoholic. You're not going to sit at a table and drink alcohol in front of an alcoholic. And as a family member, you're not going to ask her to go and pick up something that would further fuel her addiction. So
yeah.
this has got to be somebody else that she knows. Why would she be going and picking up somebody else's prescription?
I
Would
mean,
that
it's a really
person
good
let her pick
question.
it up? Because if that person knows what she's addicted to,
Mhm.
are they gonna risk that of her using again? Or the
Unless
temptation of her
the
using again? It's a big temptation to put in somebody's way.
yeah, unless that person themselves are using as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but that's what I mean. If that person's using themselves, why would they want
Mhm.
somebody else who's also using to go and pick up their stuff? Because chances are
Yeah.
that person's going to use their stuff and they're not going to be able to
Oh,
get
yeah,
any more.
exactly,
So
exactly.
surely you wouldn't
Yeah.
trust another addict to pick up your gear. Well, maybe that's
Mhm.
just my way of thinking, but I would think, well, no, just in case they take it. So
Yeah.
is she picking it up because she knows that person's got a prescription waiting and she wants it because she can't get a prescription for it? So
Yeah.
is that what's happened? Because I don't think one addict would trust another addict with their gear, would they? I mean,
No,
I
definitely
don't think
not.
so.
I don't think so either,
No. So that's interesting. This could be somebody that she actually knows and has heard that they've got a prescription or something
and want to go pick it
and
up.
went to go and pick it up before they
Which is
do.
which is crazy because, like, anything that like, those type of prescriptions, you need to have a driver's license or, some sort of identification in
Yeah,
order to pick
yeah. I was
up.
going to ask, how does it work over there? How does that, when you need to go and get a prescription, is it filed by the doctor or does the pharmacist do it for you?
So the doctor would send in the prescription to be filled by the
So
pharmacist.
same here, yeah. So same as here. And
Mhm.
then you'd have to go in
Yeah.
and prove your identity to pick up that. But usually here, if you're picking up something on behalf of somebody else, I'm not sure. Thinking about it, I mean, because obviously I only pick up stuff for my family because we live in the same house. That's a bit different. But I don't know how it would be if you lived in a different house to go and collect somebody else's prescription on their behalf. I'm not sure if you can do
Um,
that unless you're a nominated
I
person.
I think you can because I recall so when how old I think when was I 21? I think I was like 21 or 22. I had kidney stone and I was prescribed I don't think it was Percocet. It might have been Vicodin, but it was another controlled drug.
Mm.
And I'm pretty sure my mom picked it up for me because
But you
like,
lived in the same house though, didn't you? So I think you can
yeah.
do it if you're in the
So
same house. But if you're
yeah,
separate houses, like if I was to go and pick up one for you, surely they're not going
I
to let
don't
me
think no
walk
way.
away with your
No, no, no,
prescription.
no, no.
Even if I took
Absolutely
ID,
not.
surely they're not just going to let me pick
Yeah.
up your drugs.
No, definitely not.
So that's weird how she's tried to pick up somebody else's prescription when you wouldn't normally be able to.
Mhm. But it almost sounds like because they issued an arrest warrant, it almost sounds like she was successful in picking it up.
Yeah.
Because if she actually did pick it up and they called the police, or she tried to pick it up and they called the police, wouldn't she just been arrested at that point?
Yeah. Yeah, that's strange, isn't it? That's a good point,
It is.
actually. That's a really good point.
So it almost sounds like they
She
she
did
got
got it. Yeah, she did get it. Sorry.
she did get it, and she did get it, and then later on
They've
they issued
realized.
the
Yeah.
yeah, like, oops, we need to arrest her now.
That's strange. Okay.
Now, initially, Amanda was considered a missing and endangered persons case,
Mm.
but despite a thorough search and investigation by Upper Darby police and constant canvassing by Amanda's family in the month following her disappearance, there were no leads received that would indicate where she could have been. So nothing came in.
Nothing at all.
Yeah,
No
no leads,
suspected sightings or
nothing,
anything.
0,
That's awful.
nothing. So, like I said, she did have her phone on it. Now, I do know that there were some phone pings
Yeah.
on it. But I don't know where those pings were coming from.
But also, we
So
don't know
I
if that
don't have
means that
any
she was the person with the phone. It just means that the phone
exactly.
was in an area. Doesn't necessarily mean
Mhm.
she had it in her hand or she had it on her person. So it might be her phone
That's
pinging, but it's
correct.
not necessarily her, is it?
That's correct. That is correct. Now, police would discover a escort ad placed by Amanda on Craigslist, but this had been put on to Craigslist roughly a year before her
Yeah.
disappearance. So that seemingly kind of confirms the fact that she was advertising herself as an escort.
Yeah. Well, it's a good way to make money, isn't it? It's quite a quick way to make money that you don't have to pay
It is,
tax on.
yeah.
And if you're buying illegal
Yeah,
substances with it, it's kind of something you don't need qualifications to do it. It's quite an easy way to make money.
yeah. Now, it is interesting to note that this list would lead to some arrests,
Okay.
but no additional information about Amanda's whereabouts were learned from
Right.
any of the arrests made
Okay.
from her connection to these escort ads. Now, by 2018, police would start to believe that Amanda may have been the victim of foul play.
Yeah.
Now, in the months and the years following her disappearance, there have been some tips that have come in
Mhm.
about Amanda, but nothing has actually panned out. Um, I know that there had been a woman who had been friends with Amanda for a few years,
Uh-huh.
who stated that on the day that Amanda had disappeared, Amanda had called her because she needed a ride. Now, after that, she hadn't actually heard from Amanda after that,
Uh-huh.
but stated that she believes that she may have been living with a guy who was in his 40s in an apartment in Swarthmore. She also stated that she believed that Amanda might have been working for him too, but she was not sure exactly what that meant. I'm assuming that this guy was a a
A
pimp
pimp of
with,
some I was just gonna say that. Do you think it would
yeah, that's what
be?
it kind of seems like. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's unfortunately like things like this, these tips that have come in about her, absolutely nothing has panned out for police. It
Really?
just seems like she has just
Just
completely
disappeared.
vanished. Yeah, there have been numerous bodies that have been found that have been initially thought of. They initially could have been Amanda. That's what people had been thinking, but none of them have been.
No.
Um, there have been There's been no activity on any of her social media. There's been no activity on any of her emails. I know the private investigator Kevin Ryan has been tracking usage of her social security number. There's been no hits on her social security number. So there's been absolutely nothing.
Nothing.
None of her banking
Yeah.
accounts have been touched. Absolutely nothing.
And that's strange, isn't it? If somebody goes missing, unless they've got like a lifetime worth of or like a decent amount of money to set them off, and they've got a new job, a new life somewhere else in under a new, um, like a new personality, the chances are that they don't touch anything at all. That's strange, isn't it? Very, very strange.
It is very strange, very
Yeah.
strange.
Yeah.
There are numerous areas around the Philadelphia area that Amanda would hang out, which were searched.
Okay.
In 2019, there was a possible sighting of Amanda in the Kensington area of Philadelphia,
Right.
which is not a very good area. It's a area known for rampant homelessness and drug use.
Oh
And
dear.
there's actually pictures of a woman who people thought might have been Amanda, and there are similarities between the
Is
two,
this the lady
but it was
sitting on the pavement?
yes,
Yeah, it
yes,
does look like her.
exactly,
It
yes,
really does. And I
it
also
does.
saw that she's got a tattoo on her arm because I know that Amanda's got
She does,
quite a few tattoos. Um,
she does.
and I also read that with drug trafficking, I mean, it's a horrible thought, but it's something that you have to kind of consider with trafficking and sex trafficking. Sometimes they do put tattoos on the women so that you know which trafficker group that they belong to.
Mm.
And so
Oh,
I know, and I read that perhaps this could be because the tattoo, and she's also wearing a bracelet that's very similar to the bracelet that she's pictured in the pictures on
yeah,
the FBI's website. So
yes,
I wonder then, is could it be that? Could it be that somebody's picked her up if she's in a bit of a
exactly.
if she has relapsed into it and she has got hold of some heroin and she's in a bit of a stupor because obviously you
Mhm.
get into that kind of, I don't even know what they call it, but you get into that kind of like heroin haze. Could it be that she's
Yep.
been picked up by somebody? She wouldn't really be fighting back because of the state that she's in at the time. Could it be then that they've then put her into this? Oh, it's an awful, it's horrible to think that.
I So this is my initial thought.
Mm.
So initially, my thought was she could have either been a victim of sex trafficking,
Yeah.
human trafficking,
Yeah.
which is definitely a
You've
possibility.
got to consider
My
it.
other You have to consider it.
Yeah.
My other thought was a she died of an overdose,
Okay. Yeah.
which even if she dies of an overdose, we're still talking about a criminal event
Yeah.
because my assumption would be she would have been with someone else that has then concealed her body. Because if
Oh,
she
yeah.
would have died of I would think that if she would have died of an overdose, like on the streets or
Well, she'd
somewhere,
be a
she would have
Jane
been
Doe,
found.
wouldn't she? That's right. Yeah. She would have
She
been.
would.
Yeah.
But for the fact that none,
There's nothing.
there's not a body, and
Yeah.
no one's found anything. That if she did die of an overdose, she would have had to have been with someone else, and that she would have had to have been concealed.
Concealed, yeah.
So
Yeah,
then
that's true.
we still have a criminal element to it, where someone's actively concealing her body and hiding
Yeah.
her body,
Yeah.
right? So, so I think those were the two most likely scenarios with her.
Yeah.
However, there in the past month, there's been some new activity with her, which kind of changes, possibly changes my thought on
Okay.
everything.
Right. Okay.
Okay. Now, back in, I believe it was June of 2022, the FBI became involved in her
Yeah.
case,
Yeah.
which is interesting. Why all of a sudden the FBI would be involved? Uh,
Hmm.
Usually, they would get involved in cases if they believe they're. For example, they would get involved in a like human trafficking case if the person's being moved from one state to the next, right?
Right.
So that kind of goes along with the thought that maybe she was trafficked at some point,
Yeah.
and so maybe that's why the FBI was involved. However, in September, so it was actually a September 15th, 2022. So
Not
from
very
the
long
time
ago.
that we're
Yeah.
recording this, it was like 10 days ago.
Yeah.
Okay. Law enforcement agencies executed a search warrant on a 9-acre property in Nottingham, Pennsylvania, which is roughly 50 miles to the west of Amanda had gone missing.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
So agents from local, state, and federal offices had searched the backyard of this rural property in hopes of finding the remains of Amanda.
Right. Do we
Okay.
know who this property
Now,
belongs to?
we do.
Oh, okay. Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
So the authorities who were executing this warrant
Yeah.
had brought cadaver dogs and other specialized equipment with
Yeah.
them. They ended up shutting down neighboring streets. They dug around the property and drained a septic tank looking for Amanda.
Right.
However, they did leave without any signs of Amanda.
Yeah.
Uh, so the home was or is owned by a gentleman named Michael Fabrizio
Okay.
Sr. Okay.
Okay.
His son, Michael Fabrizio Jr.,
Uh-huh.
is the father of Amanda's first daughter.
Oh, okay. That's very close to
Okay.
home.
Is very close to
That's
home.
very, very close to home. Yeah.
So
I wonder what's led them to think that he could possibly have something to do with it. Something must have triggered that. Because I mean, it's been what is it? 8 years
apparent
now? 8 years since she went missing.
it's been 8
8 years.
years.
So I
Yeah.
mean, now only in the last 10 days, 8 years later, they must have had some form of intelligence to alert them to that area.
Yeah.
Something has
So
to have come in.
from what I understand is once the FBI became involved in the case,
Mm.
they started looking over all the tips that had been received.
Yeah.
And it's my understanding that there was a tip from around 2017 which the Upper Darby police received that was never looked into.
But also, can I just ask a question? Wouldn't they have looked, because of who he is to her, wouldn't they have looked into him at the beginning? Because he's her former, he's the child's father. So surely your exes, your current partner, surely you look there first.
Yeah, you would have to. You would think that.
Yeah.
And I have read reports that so we talked about how we briefly mentioned how the two daughters had been with other
Family.
family
Yeah.
the day that Amanda went missing.
Yeah.
I have actually read at least one article which indicated that the girls had been with their fathers that day, which means that
They were separate.
they would have been. I don't know if grandma dropped off the girls with the two different fathers or if the fathers came and picked them up.
Right. Okay. But the two girls are separately with their dads that day.
That is correct. Yes,
Interesting.
that's what it seems like, and
Yeah.
that's what I've. There's at least one source that indicated that they were with their fathers that day.
Right. Okay.
So that would put, if the fathers were picking up the girls, that would indicate that they would have been in contact with Amanda that day.
Yeah. Or Amanda's mum, if they're picking them up from the
Mhm.
from the mum, from the grandma.
Yes.
Oh,
So, like I said, with FBI back on the case, or not back on the case, FBI joined the case. They went and they were reviewing the case files, were reviewing the different tips that came in.
yeah.
And apparently, there was at least one tip from 2017 which caught their eyes and they decided to look into. And it has to be a substantial tip because in order for the search warrant to be issued and executed,
Yeah.
it would have had to go in
Yeah.
front of a
That's right.
judge,
And they would
and
have
there
had to
would have
find it.
been substantial
Yeah.
probable cause in order for them to
Yeah,
do that.
exactly.
Now,
Man,
I'm
though,
gonna say this
5
is
years too late,
yeah,
2017, that tip was in. It's 5
yes,
years ago. Why weren't they following this tip up
yes,
5 years ago?
exactly. Now, I am gonna file this under potential rumor, and
Right,
I don't
okay.
wanna say it's fact at all, but I have seen, I have read a rumor,
Yeah,
and I wanna say it's rumor that the Amanda's daughter's first father, Michael Fabrizio Jr., had Amanda's cell phone for at least 5 days after she disappeared. I don't know how that was determined or who found that out. Once again, I'm gonna say it's rumor. This is absolute rumor. But if that's the case, that would kind of indicate why they would go and they would be searching this
yes.
property.
And why would he have that cell phone 5 days after she went missing? Why would if I was dropping my kids to my ex's house, why would he have my phone? There's no reason for him to take my phone or for me to give him my phone. That's strange.
No.
That's very strange. If that's the case,
And
if
from
that's a fact, then that's very strange.
I'm not sure what the thing is though, I don't know what if let's say that either the fathers or were involved in her disappearance, why they would be involved because there's nothing that indicates that there was any sort of ill will against them. There was there's no real motive
Well,
for
well,
Michael.
there is
What is it?
because
What
his
do you think?
daughter's mum is a heroin addict. I mean, would you want to leave your child? I mean, obviously, her family are going to say that she's capable of looking after her kids. But as a parent, would you want to willingly hand your kid over to another parent who's going to be responsible for that child's welfare and well-being, knowing full well that that parent is struggling with addiction and really struggling with
Mhm.
addiction?
No,
Could
you're
it
right.
be that
Yeah.
he looked at or saw her that day? I mean, let's face it, exes, the slightest thing can cause an argument between exes,
It could. Yes.
especially when there's
Yes.
kids involved. I mean, you could have a very platonic relationship. The ex could
Mhm.
get in a relationship with somebody else, and then that relationship then becomes sour with you. So I think it's very difficult to guess. I don't know what the relationship with them was, whether it was an amicable relationship or whether it was a little bit, tempestuous sometimes. But
Yeah.
I would say that I mean, depends. I mean, is he an addict himself? Is there any issue of that there that he's actually not thinking like that? But if he wasn't, could that be the case? Could he have gone, "You're not having her back because look at the state of you, and I'm not happy
Mhm.
leaving her with you." And she's like, "Well, actually, no, she's my daughter, and you can't take her away." And then a fight happens. It's difficult.
And then something happens.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's difficult, isn't it, to guess what could have happened
Yeah.
and what they could have been arguing about. But it could be something as simple as that. I'm not happy with you
Yeah,
looking
no, you're
after
absolutely
her. I
right.
can look after her better. I've got no addiction.
That's right.
I can provide for her. I want her living with me. And then all hell breaks
Yeah.
loose.
That's very true. That's very true.
And she hasn't got that once,
But
she's got
that
it twice. She's got it with the both dads,
mhm.
possibly.
I think the one thing though is that this search has completely changed the narrative of this whole case
Yeah, God, yeah.
because for the 8 years the narrative has been a girl who had drug addiction, she had drug dependency,
Is
goes
missing.
missing.
Yeah, and now it's
She has a
potentially,
history. She has a history of escorting, so it could
yeah,
be drug overdose. It could be
yeah,
it could be human trafficking. Now all of a sudden, is this a domestic issue? Was this a domestic violence
yeah,
issue that
yeah.
led to someone's death?
Yeah. And this is a girl that's struggling, but, has been to counseling and has been to rehabilitation centres. And actually, she's on track trying to sort her life out. And now, could this
Mhm.
be foul play? It changes the narrative
Yeah,
100%. And I
It
reckon
does.
probably people's attitudes, because all of a sudden she goes from the heroin addict who is got addiction and has got issues to then perhaps being the recovering addict that's getting over things and making a better life that's now suddenly cruelly been taken away. So I think
Mhm.
people's, like you say, people's perceptions and maybe people's empathy from one to the other is going to be very different,
Yeah.
sadly.
And it's crazy because once again, they had to go in front of a judge and get probable cause to issue this
Yeah.
warrant,
So there
right? The
must
search
be.
warrant. So it has to be something substantial. I would actually be really curious to get inside the mind of like these FBI investigators or the police investigators. If yeah, they have something substantial which gives them probable cause to search his property, but I also wonder if this was done in order to try to get more information out of people in the know, right? So maybe for the longest time, people were like, okay, maybe Amanda, had an overdose or she was. I think most people
That's
would
what they
assume that she
thought.
probably
Yeah.
died of it. But now it's like, oh wait, they're checking out Michael's
Yeah.
dad's land,
Yeah.
and so now they're trying to get more information on Michael Fabrizio Jr. and they're
Yeah.
hoping that going out and doing this search they're gonna be able to get more information pertaining to his possible involvement. Because maybe the people out there that have heard rumors about what might have happened, but they haven't said anything because it's like, oh well, I thought she just died of an overdose and she's out and was dumped in a river or something. But
Yeah.
now they hear, oh well, Michael might have been involved. I did hear this rumor, so maybe I should call in.
Yeah, maybe. And that will hopefully might push people to help a little bit more.
Yeah, it it's strange. I mean, I hate these cases
Mm,
because they seemingly just up and vanish, and it's especially with when you have someone that's involved in drugs, there's so many different ways that it could go.
yeah.
Yeah, they're living a high risk lifestyle,
Yeah.
but then especially when it's like, okay, yeah, they lived a high risk lifestyle, but they on the verge of, getting help
Yeah.
because and honestly, if you think about it, it's really the most dangerous time for an addict, right?
Of
When they
course.
go
Yeah.
through when they go through a period of sobriety,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden it's like they go back to using.
Yeah.
And so now they're going back and they're going to use the same amount that they had been using.
Yeah. And their
But if
body's
their
not used to it.
bodies the body's not used to it, they lose the tolerance, and so all of a sudden they have an overdose and they pass away.
I mean, I haven't got any personal experience of addiction myself, but I have some friends that have had some really awful issues with addiction. And it's one of those
Yeah.
things that is, as a friend, to watch somebody go through that and not be able to do anything is is just horrific. It is a horrible, helpless way to feel. And then from her family's point of view, to then have her just, I mean, she has just completely disappeared.
Yeah.
There's nothing. There's no, which is also strange in its own way, the fact that she's just completely gone. Um, that obviously, because of the addiction, it clouds things a little bit, because you're left wondering, not only, has she gone of her own free will? Has she gone and she's overdosed somewhere and she's okay, but she doesn't know who she is? Has she gone and she's overdosed, or she's got herself some gear and she's in a stupor and somebody's taken her away and taken advantage
Mhm.
of her? There's so many avenues that this poor family are having to consider, and for police to have
Yeah.
to consider. This is a huge amount of different ways that this case can go. It's quite
Yeah.
evident that she's not using anything connected to her old life again. Did she just walk away and start again? I don't think that there's very many people that do that sort of thing. Very
No.
rarely do you find out that the person's gone, do you know what, look, I've had enough. I'm just going to leave everything and sod off. It doesn't really happen that often. It's
Mhm.
usually something has happened. It's interesting that they've
Yeah.
gone back to their ex-boyfriend. It's interesting that they've got enough evidence to go back and to search his property. I'd be
Yeah.
interested to speak to a police officer about that to find out what
Yeah.
level of information they would have to have had to grant that. You know,
It had to been
it
substantial,
had
but
to
it's
have been
like, how
but what
substantial?
exactly? Yeah, I'd like to have known what kind of can you just let me know what kind of things could have been to initiate this, because it would have to be quite a lot, I think, like you say. That's very
Yeah.
interesting. But God, for her like
Yeah.
family and her children to that she's
I
just,
know. Yeah.
that's awful. It's really
It is.
it's
Yeah.
really bad to have that wandering all the time.
I mean, we briefly mentioned at the beginning where it took nearly 3 months for the family to report her missing,
Yeah.
and I can't help but wonder, it's like, if they would have called sooner,
Why did it
if
take do we
we
know why it took 3 months? Has she
I
got
don't know
previous
why
of
3 months.
this?
Okay, so she had previous history of disappearing. I don't wanna say disappearing, but being, like, off the grid
Right.
for, for days or whatever, but
3
I don't
months is
think
a
she had a
long
history of
time.
that is a really, really long time.
Yeah.
And you would have to, I mean, it has to kill the family knowing, it's like, what if we would have done something sooner?
Yeah, I wonder why they didn't. There must be a reason that they didn't. Did they believe that she was okay? Did they believe she was somewhere that, I mean, that's still, it's a strange one. I mean, a few days, maybe a week or so, but 3 months is a very long time to not have any
It's
word
a very, very long.
of where
Yeah.
your child is with suffering from addiction,
We're used to cases where the family called right away and the
Yeah,
police
we
like, "Oh,
are.
no, too soon.
Yeah.
Try back in 72 hours." That's what we're
Yeah.
used to. We're not used to these cases where it's like 3 months go by and then you're calling in a missing person report.
Yeah. I mean, I've got a friend who is that I check in on regularly, who's not addicted like this, but if I
Mhm.
haven't heard from him within sort of 2 weeks, I message, "Are you okay? Everything all right? Yep,
Yeah.
everything's fine." If it's longer than that, I start to sort of
Mm.
panic a little bit because there's no way he's not in
Mhm.
touch within a 2-week period.
Yeah.
So that's
You know what?
yeah.
Thinking about, I wonder if part of it has to do with that arrest warrant that was issued on around the 18th.
Well, you think she's
If
hiding
they
out,
thought, "Okay, yeah, she's hiding out,"
but would she not be in touch? Like say I'm okay, but
she would have to,
yeah, I
right?
don't know what sort of
Especially with 2
relationship they've
2
got with
young
her.
daughters.
Yeah, to not check in, I would
No,
think that would be weird that she wouldn't check in at all on her kids.
yeah. It seems like they had a very close relationship. Joanne and Nicole, her sister Nicole. It seems to me they had a very, very close relationship, and she seems to be a very loving mother. And I can't imagine that even if she was going and hiding out, hiding from the police, that she wouldn't at least try to get in contact somehow.
And what happened with the explaining to the fathers? So where did they think she was? If they're going and regularly having
Oh yeah.
contact with their daughter that they're having to
Hmm.
pick up from the grandmother, what has the grandmother sort of said to them about where the daughter where the mum is?
Exactly.
How did that
Exactly.
because I would want to know if that was my child and I was picking them up from their dad's house and he was never
Yeah.
there, I'd be like, well, where is he? Is he looking after my kid or is he not? So why am I coming to
Yeah.
pick him up when they can
Or
stay with me? You know?
yeah. And wouldn't you also be interested, if you knew that she was having issues with addiction?
Mm,
Wouldn't you also wanna know, like, "Hey, how's she doing? Is she still having problems? Is she getting
yeah.
clean?" Wouldn't you wanna know that sort of stuff?
Well, it depends, doesn't it? It depends what kind of decent human beings the two
Mhm.
dads are when we don't know
Yeah,
what kind of people they are. Are they people that just don't care?
yeah,
Or are they really good people that do care and they have asked those questions? It's difficult when you don't
right,
know them.
right.
Oh,
It is.
that's very, very interesting. It's
It is.
difficult. I mean, this is like a spider's web. There's so many
It
different
is.
ways that you can go with
Mhm.
so many different avenues to go down. I think it really needs investigating into the two. I would first look at the two dads. I would first look at their home lives. What are they like? Have they got criminal records? Do they have drug
Yeah,
pasts? Are they good, upstanding citizens, or are they, a bit nefarious? Or do you know what I mean? I don't know why.
yeah.
That would be my first port of call.
No, yeah, I would agree. I would agree with you. Yeah, I mean, look, there's three possibilities. I think the 3 possibilities are, like I said, okay, domestic violence issue,
Yeah,
right? Domestic
yeah,
domestic
Domestic issue.
issue
Yeah.
with one of the fathers,
Yeah.
overdose,
Yeah.
or human trafficking. I think those are the three highest probability, because if it was an issue where let's say that she had a mental health issue, she had a drug issue, and she ends up on the street,
Yeah.
I would think by this point
Someone would have
sh-
found her.
found her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think she would have been identified if she was just living rough on the streets. I think she would have been
Uh-huh.
identified by somebody. It seems by looking at their
Yeah.
Facebook page, there seems to be a lot of people out there looking for her. There's billboards up with her picture on and stuff like that on the different highways.
Yeah.
So I would say, yes, if she was living on the street and overdosed and was found dead on the street, she would be a Jane Doe,
Mhm.
but they would be able to hopefully match her up. I agree with you. I think you're down to the next two then, aren't you, really?
Yeah. Now it's interesting. So I think I mentioned it briefly. One of the areas that they search and have been searching on a regular basis is this Kensington area. I think it's Kensington Avenue.
Yeah.
There are actually people that go through the area on a consistent basis, recording the streets and the people that they see
Oh, okay. That's
for
so good.
identification
That's
purposes.
really good.
So there's hours and hours and hours of video. There's YouTube pages where you can go and you can watch just hours
Wow.
of uh, people in this area, in hopes of, like, if someone's out there and they need, and they're looking for family members,
Yeah.
that they can hop on there. They could watch this and see if they can possibly find them. And in
What a
all
great
those
idea.
hours of video, no one has seen. There's been no possible persons that have been ID'd as Amanda on any of these
On
videos.
anything. God, man.
Yeah.
I mean, people don't just disappear into thin air. Somebody knows what's
Mhm.
happened. So there's somebody somewhere that's withholding information about what's happened to Amanda, because
Yeah.
people don't just disappear off the face of nowhere. They just don't do it. There's got to be
Yeah.
somebody, some people that would know what's happened.
Yeah. No. I'm 90% sure at this point we're probably looking for a body. That's what that's my gut
Um,
feeling.
well, I was just about to say, I'm probably 90% sure this is a foul play. Somebody else is involved.
Yeah.
I don't,
Yes.
from what you've been saying and from what we've been told, I would say that this is somebody else is involved in this. This isn't just a girl who's just decided
Mhm.
to walk away. I don't think so.
Yeah.
And like we said with the rest of it, is it possible that she's overdosed somewhere and succumbed to the drugs and has died somewhere where nobody's found her? Yeah, possibly. You can't say no,
Possibly.
absolutely
Yeah.
not. It's something you've got to consider. um
Yeah.
I don't know what the procedure over there for Jane Does are. I mean, do they have a central database that the police are able to access that have got pictures that obviously you can put in the details of the
Yeah.
body you've just found, and people
Yep.
can like correlate that with
With
missing persons websites?
Yeah. With her, her any body that could be her would be easily
She's got very
identifiable. Okay.
distinctive tattoos, hasn't she?
She does.
Very
Okay. So
distinctive.
she was about 5'2" in height and about 115 pounds in weight.
Okay.
She had blue eyes, brown hair. Though she was known to dye her hair or wear wigs and headbands, and she had a very thin body type.
Yeah.
Now, she had multiple tattoos. She had lips on the right cheek of her buttocks. She had the Italian, like
The
a
boot.
Italian boot
Yeah,
shape. So
the country
yeah,
shape.
yeah,
Yeah.
yep. And the word Tommy on her right torso, um, writing under one of her breasts,
Yeah.
the initials SC on top of one of her fingers, the letters MF on the inside of her lower lip,
Oh, wow.
and then she also had a diagonal surgical scar on her upper and lower abdomen.
So had they have found a body, it would be easily identifiable as her by putting those details into a database. So, okay, so
Yes.
then maybe that it's quite, I mean, obviously people should still be checking those, but perhaps that's a rule out at the moment in that there's no body that's, missing that unidentified. So then we're on to the other two. It's foul play. Could it be that she's
Yeah.
succumbed to the drugs and she's been taken off by a trafficker?
Uh,
Yes, that happens a
exactly.
lot. And like you say, the area in which we've been talking about as is not a great area. There's a lot of drugs there. there's pimps there, I would imagine, and that kind of stuff. So great, not a great area. So that's a high possibility that something has happened to her like that. She's collected this
Yeah.
prescription and she's used again, and that's what's happened. So there is that possibility,
Mhm.
or there's a possibility that she's fallen out with somebody and I mean, does she have a drug debt? Is that something else? I mean, is this,
Oh, yeah.
could it be that she's got some drugs from somebody and hasn't paid for them, or she's upset somebody, the drugs that she's taken is somebody else's prescription? Is it that person or somebody surrounding them? There's just question
Yeah.
after question after question, isn't there? It's just
There are a
frustrating.
lot of questions.
It's a
Yeah.
frustrating
Yep.
case to look at when you don't have police files and you don't have
Yeah.
the answers to the questions that you've got. It's difficult.
Yeah. And I mean, I said this at the very beginning. This is a case that has a lot of
Oh
stigma
God, yeah.
surrounding it.
Yeah, straight away.
So it's a case that could easily be overlooked or people cast aside
Uh-huh.
because of the stigma.
Yeah.
But regardless of what Amanda had done and what she might have been doing, she's still a mother, she's still a daughter, she's still a
She's a
sister,
human being.
and she's a human being,
Yeah.
and she deserves to be found and deserves to be reunited one way or the other with her family.
Yeah, definitely. That's really sad. I'm really sad for her family.
Yeah. It's a tough case.
Very tough. Yeah, very, very tough. But thank you for that one. That's yeah. I hate it when you get no answers, you know. I know obviously predominantly the
Yeah.
cases that we do on our show are non-answer cases. It's
Mhm.
I just would like to be able to go back to the family and say, look, this is what happened.
God.
You know?
And she has 2
I know,
daughters.
yeah.
Ugh.
To miss seeing them
It
grow up and,
kills me. Yeah.
you know, missing all that stuff is just, it's heartbreaking, isn't it? It's not good.
It is very hard.
Oh. Well, that's our case for this week. So thank you very much for that one. I will now give you something to make you smile a little bit. So at the end of our show, we normally do something that is called Dumb Criminal.
Hey, Captain Stupid Poopy Pants, use a dummy.
This is very apt, what Captain has just said. Now, deputies with the Clay County Sheriff's Office were searching a wooded area for a man who was in possession of a controlled substance. So
Okay.
this guy has run off. They've been chasing him. He's run off into the woods. They've got the dogs and they're chasing off this guy. They go into this wooded area and they're looking for him. So if you were in that that instance, would you keep running? Would you hide? What would you do? You're in a woodland area. You're being chased by police with dogs.
Oh. Oh god, I would keep running because the dogs are eventually
Yeah.
going to catch you.
I thought the same thing. Now, this guy decides not to keep running. This guy decides to hide. Okay, yeah, but he's found a good hiding place.
Okay.
Now, the problem
Sure.
was when the police got into the woods, the guy passed gas so loudly
Oh
that
no.
they found him purely because he farted. I mean, that just
Oh, my
doesn't sound like a
God.
real thing.
That is the worst time to do that.
So, I mean,
guy.
they posted the Clay County Sheriff's Office on their Facebook page posted, if you've got a felony warrant for your arrest and the cops are looking for you and you pass gas so loud it gives up your hiding spot, you're definitely having and then they put the poop emoji, you're definitely having a poop day.
Oh my god.
Can you imagine though? I mean, you go to prison and you're talking about how you got arrested and it's purely because you farted. I mean, come on.
No.
You feel like a right idiot, wouldn't you?
Could you imagine him like in the woods,
Yeah.
like holding on his stomach, like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, don't fart, don't fart,
Yeah.
don't fart.
I just let it go quietly,
know
and then,
Oh yeah, like
yeah, and then he's like, "Oh damn it, they found me!"
oh no.
I just
Damn
thought that.
IBS.
I just thought that was crazy. That's really funny.
Oh
It
my
was
God.
stupid. So thank you for everyone that's been sending us in dumb criminals as well. They're very fun, and we've got a few coming up that are sent in from listeners as well. So thank you for those. You can catch us on all of our socials between this week and next week's episode, which will be my episode. So you can find us on Instagram, you can find us on Facebook, you can direct email us if you want to. It's completely up to you. But we will be back next week. And for now, be nice. I was waiting for you to say that. I don't know. I always say that, don't I?
Oh,
For now, be nice.
you do. And bye.
I don't know why I didn't say it. I was like, do you normally say it or do I normally say it? No, you normally say it. Actually, no, I normally say it.